guys, it's Jerningham here and girls. If they had more hospitals and more staff, they probably could keep on top of the coronavirus, in my opinion. But the thing is, they don't have a lot of staff. They're short everywhere you go. They seem to be short of staff everywhere, in jobs, in schools, in restaurants, in cinemas, in hospitals, in workforces, the police forces, ambulance, fire service, council. There's always shortage of staff everywhere. If they had more staff in all these places, these things wouldn't happen. The coronavirus would be low. There'd be hardly no outbreaks. We need to put more people into hospitals so we don't catch the coronavirus. We need staff to have to pay for them jobs. What I mean by that is we need the people we have to pay. If we're building more hospitals, we need the staff in them as well. Like anywhere, you build a new police station, a fire station, or ambulance place, you need the staff in there to be there. If they did that, then across the world, then the coronavirus may drop because you need more places to put people, and some places are full, some places have got no room to put everybody there, so they've got a lack of beds, lack of staff. I don't know what to say really. I'm drinking this as well. I'm drinking passion fruit and pineapple. It's a pretty good drink if you like your water stuff, for anybody really. They're talking about things on the news about will people listen to the restrictions, as we've seen that for ourselves. Got a sore throat today again. I to breathe properly. Prime Minister Boris Johnson has said does want to keep the country in another nation lockdown, but the government may need to infuse things to help bring the rate of infection down, which the infection is not going down. The pandemic's still going. The UK is now seeing a second wave. We've been in a second wave for a long time. This guy's on about supports for staff, he's saying.
The wider restrictions, particularly around things such as childcare, which are having a real consequence for businesses and for people who suddenly had to take time off, don't know what their future looks like in the short term, because restrictions on childcare are having a real impact on them.
Yeah, you make a good point there. The furlough scheme, for example, is due to come to an end. It's been hugely helpful, hasn't it, for many of the businesses and industries that you've been describing. There must be a real fear about what happens when that fully stops. Would you even suggest asking for it to be extended in certain areas?
We are fearful of that cliff edge that we know is just a few weeks away, and you will have seen, obviously, the national headlines about potential scale of redundancies, and unfortunately we know some of those
restrictions of pubs, cinemas must close by 10 p.m. in parts of the North East Midlands, West Yorkshire from Thursday, it says there.
Something that enables them to preserve jobs through what we hope are relatively short-term restrictions.
Hand there, see. Going to see how long
as
I'm on the
well
phone.
As financial support that helps them with cash flow issues when they've got money tied up in stock that fundamentally they're not going to be able to sell.
How hard has COVID hit this year, your part of the world?
It's been very, very tough. For lots
Hampshire
of
woman rights, Lisbon, USA, courts justice. Gunburgers has died, aged 87, from Miston, I don't know what it says, cancer or something.
And subsequent recessions tend to fall hardest on places and people with the least capacity to withstand them. And we've been calling on the government, alongside its response to the pandemic, to really get serious about this levelling up message that we heard so much about, certainly around the time of the general election.
You mentioned the figures in your region, and they are worrying. They have been going up and up. Why do you think that is? Why do you
think 2 people have been killed.
To keep a handle on this?
14 others have been wounded after a massive shootout in the city of
right across the board. We certainly know in the northeast,
Cheechton in north of New York. There's another shooting. I don't know about you guys, girls, but my chest is sore today.
Doing everything they can to keep people safe. But we do have things like lower health outcomes, and these types of issues will affect people in those communities harder. And that's why levelling up is so important to a place like us.
Okay, Assistant Director of Policy for the North East of England at the Chamber of Commerce. Jonathan Walker, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Now, after struggling through 6 years of war and the world's largest humanitarian crisis, some Yemenis refuse to believe that coronavirus exists. When challenged, their reply is simple: there's no corona in Yemen. Well, in Sanaa's old city, there are others who believe in the virus's existence and think it's a biological weapon used by their enemies. But a look inside one of the city's hospitals tells a very different story. In 5 years of bombing by a Saudi-led coalition against Iranian-backed Houthi rebels trying to take over the country, the UN estimates that 230,000 people have died. Its health service was already collapsing under the strain before COVID-19 appeared in April. Officially, it's had just over 2,000
So the coronavirus is bio-weapon then?
deaths. But the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine has estimated that up to 11 million people in Yemen could contract the disease, and up to 85,000 could die from it. Our special correspondent, Alex Crawford, is in the capital, where she visited a hospital struggling to cope with a pandemic on top of a war.
They've stopped counting the COVID dead in North Yemen. In a country battered by 6 years of civil war, coronavirus is just another killer. For those who've survived this far, there's a terrible fear of the virus, but also the hospitals and what will happen to them. We asked Mansour what he thought when he was brought in.
What did I do wrong? Why am I tied to the bed like this? I can't breathe. I have to get out. What did I do?
Yemen is uniquely vulnerable to the COVID pandemic. Its population is already weak, its medical facilities shattered. Nearly a quarter of the country's districts have no doctors at all. So even young women like Kalima, who's only 19, are hit badly by the virus. Like so many Yemenis, she didn't think coronavirus could be worse than the war or the starvation they're already facing. She was wrong. It's been very painful, she says. We've been in so much pain because of this war. Now this illness has devastated me. I don't know if I have the strength to go on. In the absence of official data, figures collected by local medical staff show a shockingly high number of caretakers have died with coronavirus symptoms. Any loss of any medic here is a tragedy. This hospital in the rebel Houthi-controlled area of Sanaa is entirely funded by foreign aid which looks set to end in the next month.
We are in an emergency situation already during these factors, the war and conflict and poverty and illiteracy and sober added the COVID outbreak.
It's tough.
We hope to another organization to help us. We hope to send a message for the world to stop the war, stop the conflict, and help the Yemeni to negotiation and peace.
Most of them are working without salaries now and terrified about the next few weeks and months.
I don't want to think in future because it will be like a nightmare. I try to avoid thinking what will be the next because we don't have doctors, more doctors.
In the crowded alleyways of Sanaa's old city, though, we saw few, if any, taking precautions against the deadly disease. There seems to be a distinct denial about the pandemic.
Absolute chaos here in this market. No social distancing whatsoever, and I think we are the only people who are wearing masks.
يعني no corona في اليمن ما فيش كورونا نهائيا كذابين الناس بيكذبوا.
How does it reach everywhere else in the world and not Yemen? Have you ever thought about wearing a mask to stop the spread?
Many of those who chew and get high on cat leaves believe the addictive plant has kept them corona-free.
جاء الحمى وتعب والبخار حزن كات يومي شوي.
But after years under siege by a Saudi-led coalition backed by Britain and America, the Yemenis are deeply suspicious about the pandemic's origins, with far too many believing it's a viral attack on them by the West.
أكيد بدون شك وهذا معروف إذا كانوا بيضربونا بأحدث الأسلحة والصواريخ والقنابل المحرمة فماذا يعني يضربونا بالفيروس؟ هذا 100%. هذه وهي المسؤولة أمريكا والغرب وإسرائيل هي المسؤولة عن دمار الشعب اليمني.
Yemen's suffering has just got more acute because of the pandemic. Alex Crawford, Sky News in Sana'a.
Our special correspondent there in Yemen. You're watching Sky News. Coming up, what rising COVID numbers could mean for the beautiful game in the UK.
Virus, pandemic and football.
I do solemnly swear I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
He's done everything opposite of what he said.
I think that he has done what he's felt has been the best that he could do. I support him fully.
Voting for him was the greatest mistake of my life.
Everybody wants to vote for him. It's a big mistake.
Trump 2020.
I cannot vote for Trump.
Well, guys and girls, hope you all enjoyed that video. Give it a like, give it a comment, share it with your friends. Gives you some kind of rough idea how the coronavirus is coming around, like if it's a bioweapon from Yemen. Thank you for joining me. See you in the next video. Peace.